Hello. Our topic is overfishing. I am Ali Almaina. That's Mason Hamilton, Zenu Tsui, and Don Lin. So, you're eating a fish, and you have no idea if it's the last time you're gonna have this savory experience. You have no idea that this might be the last time you get to consume this delicacy. You have no idea that this is coming to an end. You have no idea that fish, whose habitat cover more than 70% of the world, is coming to an end and is in danger.
1 trillion to 2.7 trillion pounds of fish are caught. 1 trillion to 2.7 trillion pounds of fish are caught every year, which is the amount of about 2 billion cows. This is a lot. Fishes are always there if there is a body of water, including a lake, river, or the sea. Fishes have played an important role throughout our human history and even recently. Most countries' traditional folktales include a story about a fish, and in some religions, fishes are considered as a holy creature. For example, in the Bible, the fish is mentioned several times. Fishes are the main reason that many people survive and maintain their lives. Fishes help the people, from the fishermen to the people who work in the desk in the big industries. If there are no regulations made about overfishing, there will be a lack of fish over the whole world. But on the other hand, if there are regulations that the government made, the fishermen that already are in poverty will fall into deeper poverty.
Currently, no laws against overfishing are present, but there is a treaty between many countries that says that overfishing should be limited and stopped. This prevents people catching so many fish, taking fish of another species besides the target catch, and fishing young fish which have not had a chance to reproduce. While these rules are not enforced, but in some places such as the United States, many people are trying to pass laws that would limit the amount of fish that is caught every year.
Passing legislation in an attempt to avoid overfishing will only make the state of things worse. In an attempt to stop overfishing, enforcement will be nearly impossible, and if achieved, the legislation will have many more negative consequences than the current reality.
Putting legislation leaded to a loss of money. If the government put legislation on overfishing, it won't work.
What do we think? We think that the market or the demand for fish should have the power to control the amount of fish sold and caught, as opposed to the government creating legislations that would strictly control how much people can fish and consume. Government involvement could cause matters to get worse, even though in some ways it could prevent overfishing. But instead, it can decrease the money of many people, industries, the government itself, and overall the country.
Organizations such as the World Wildlife Foundation believe that there is no other way to prevent overfishing. Because of this, they want to place the power into the hands of the government to monitor the amount of fish that can be caught. These groups believe that fish should be saved no matter what. These organizations go against fishing and export industries, fishermen, market demand, and sushi and seafood restaurants. A treaty called the Law of the Sea stated that 5% of the world's economy is based on fishing, and the countries cannot control fishing from over 200 miles out of their country's boundaries. Robert Clacango of the Oceanography and Oceanographic Museum and Institute of Monaco wanted to create marine protected areas, places in which no one could fish, so that regulations can be passed but regulations still cannot be passed because of national jurisdiction and official power. Although Bernard Voltaire wants to create laws to further the expansion of previously mentioned regulations, so that areas can become larger and before fishing is banned.
The first thing you would affect, the first thing government having control would affect the government itself. If the government were to put regulations on overfishing, these regulations would be hard to enforce and expensive to put into work. Many companies depend on fish and the same amount of fish being caught daily to earn large amount of profits. Enforcing these regulations worldwide is impossible, with fisheries and organizations ignoring them and continuing to overfish. Next, making sure that all these companies follow these regulations is unfeasible. This is because there would have to be large amount of money with the effort to continue due to the scale of problem. With tens of thousands of fisheries, large and small, around the world. For example, Chile, whose government exports 37% of it is fish exports, meaning that if there were regulations, then Chile would have less fish exports and their economy would be decreased and they would be in deeper poverty. Also, for the government to put regulations, they would have to spend money to hire an organization to be able to control and count the amount of fish on every single fishing boat.
Okay, $30,000 and 220 cents. This is the annual income of the fishermen who work in these big boats belonging to the big fishing industries. For the big fishing industries, they catch huge amounts of fish in every part of the ocean, including the Atlantic, Pacific, and Indian Ocean. If the regulations are only considering these big fishing industries, there will be no problem with the regulations. But $100. This is the monthly income of 90% of the fishermen worldwide. They're the workers that fish in one of these small boats, and they are in the limit that is considered as poverty. As we said before, there are times when fishing is banned, and it is the reproduction period of the fishes. Well, if the government makes regulations about limiting the amount of fish being caught, the big fishing industries will not be satisfied with their income. They will start illegally fishing during the reproduction period of the fishes. This will cause a worse influence than before, when there were no laws and the fishing industries could fish during the fishes period.
Next, the government's control cannot stop things that the market already does, and they do not always do the right things. The prices for fish that the companies put on the fish that they sell cannot be changed by the government, and this can still cause people to overfish. In an interview we had with a tuna expert, Adam Bass, he stated that many fish are overfished being overfished due to being such a luxury. One type of tuna being sold for $1.7 million American dollars in Japan. He stated that because of overfishing, this tears down the ecosystem of the ocean. Let's say this tuna started to disappear, then its predators would run out of their food source, and its prey would overpopulate due to nothing stopping them from reproducing and balancing their population. This would result in an explosion of the prey explosion in the population of the prey and a decrease of the predators, greatly unbalancing the ecosystems of the ocean. This means that the prices put on fish does not only just affect one fish, but many others in its large home, the sea. Also, these rare fish can be taken from international companies that can move to different countries due to all countries can move to different countries. All countries will have different sets of regulations, and this means that companies can move to other countries and fish freely. To end with the government and trying to put regulations on fishing, they believe it'd be a good idea to invest in fish farms. But these fish farms are put the fish in a less environmentally friendly area, as the area which they enter are more compact with many fish in a small area, and they end up swimming in their own waste. This results in many fish becoming sick, and the government having to invest into medicine to help these sick fish. After all this, these fish are sold to us so that we can eat them. And remember, you are what you eat. The government cannot control everything, and only the market has the power to do this. Many people say that humans won't stop catching fish without limitation until there are no more fish to catch. These people's view of the problem is that overfishing should be banned because it directly destroys marine biodiversity.
Will the government really help? Some may think that the government regulation would prevent overfishing and be a better thing to do. Admittedly, it would benefit more than doing nothing. If these laws were monitored and enforced overfishing, then this would work, but that's not the case. The government would have to take political action and people's social life, and that wouldn't turn out as well as they would think. The government would have to can only control in certain areas of the ocean, but they can't pass their own country's boundaries. Although, if the industries or the demand for fish, the people's needs in the market had the control, they could control how much they would fish, and they would know, and it would decrease the amount of fish caught, which would prevent overfishing and as well benefit the people's needs. It would decrease overfishing even more, since they would be able to decrease overfishing in different parts of the area. But if the government used regulations, then it could only control a certain area, and it would be limited.
Just like what Mason said, if overfishing continues, the whole ecosystem will be influenced. The overfished species, prey and predator will suffer. For example, if the bluefin tuna is overfished, its prey, sardines, herring, mackerel, and squid will be overpopulated. If the fish in the market have a higher price, it shows that fish have a higher rarity, which motivates more fishermen to try catching it. So, if the market have the control of the amount of fish being caught and consumed every year, it could make more reasonable reason so that fish won't be overfished. As a marine expert Adam Bask said, once a bluefin tuna was sold in Japan for $1.7 million for a whole tuna. This made the fishing companies want to fish it more because of value for gaining money. This left the bluefin tuna population to only 4% of what is before, which is a very small amount. The regulations could result in people being controlled more to protect the environment. Although this would risk giving less to people who need it for their health, because the fish is the second largest source of protein in the world, and it is better to have people healthy and alive than being under control.
There is a choice between a fish and the people. I would choose the people, but if the government creates regulations limiting the amount of fish being caught, the government is choosing the fish over the people. Well, this should never happen because fish could never be on top of the people. Fishermen that are in poverty will not be able to catch amounts of fish that they used to if the government creates regulations, so they will fall into deeper poverty. That means the government is protecting the fish and they're not protecting the people. Well, by informing people near us, and the people near us will inform more people near them. This will acknowledge many people about the overfishing in no matter of time.
People eat fish or rely on fish on a daily basis to keep them healthy, since it's the second largest source of protein in the world. In order to help with this cause, you need to know the right company to buy from. Marine expert Adam Bask stated that some companies rely on overfishing for greed because they want to make money, so they continue overfishing. But others care about the health of people and they fish, but they still follow the rules that they have created in order to not overfish. Yeah, in order to help with this cause, you should know which companies care about the health of the people and buy from them.
Overfishing is just its name, fishing more than people need. Fish have a very short expiration date. Regular fish only lasting 1 to 2 days, while preserved fish such as canned tuna and sardines will only last 5 to 7. As the market realizes that most of these are going to end up being dumb because they are already gun running, they will hopefully learn to stop overfishing because we do not need it. Because of this, they will lower the prices and make it so fishermen will not want it as much, and the demand will become lower. In conclusion, fishing without regulations will benefit everyone, man and fish. Thank you.
Thank you.